How many of you live in a somewhat suburban environment? Any of you? Raise your hand. How many of you ever get stuck in traffic? How many? Is that traffic called what we call sprawl? Sprawl? Now, why might there be this phenomenon called sprawl? Well, here in, any of you live near a metropolitan area that has neighborhoods that are what might be characterized as urban wastelands? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Right. Now, what do I mean by urban wasteland? Urban wasteland? Right. Urban wasteland would be a place where, because of lots of crime, that is prohibition-related crime, violence from the drug trade, violence in open-air drug markets, you don't really want to live there. One gang involved with, you can't sort of compete by sort of having an ad on TV about the quality of your crack. You compete through other forms of market competition, like shooting the salesman, scaring the customers away. And there's lots of techniques that criminals use to improve their market advantage over their competitors. Well, that violence makes those areas undesirable. People walk away from housing. That housing, think about it. There's already an electric line to the house. There's a water line to the house. There's a sewer line to the house. There may be a gas line to the house. There's probably even a cable TV line to the house. There might, the house might be within walking distance of bus lines, other mass transit. Here's a place that's a perfect place. It's close to jobs. Here's a perfect place to live. It's already waiting. But who the hell wants to live there? I think I'll go to sleep to the sound of, was that an 1847 or a Mac 10? No. That was definitely, a Magnum. The sound of gunfire echoing in the alleyway, charming bedtime, for your kids. Just the kind of place I don't want to get your mortgage on. Who the hell is going to say, I'm going to invest in housing across the street from, Primo's crack house? It's preposterous. we know these houses are in fact empty and abandoned. So, where's the other cheap housing? Well, it's 50 miles out the freeway. It's a tank of gas out the freeway. So, you see this chart up here. Land use change is responsible for 18.2% of world greenhouse gas emissions. Road using fuel, 9.9%. Drug prohibition has created the economic forces that the inexpensive housing that people like you, 5 years from now, you've got your starter job, you now have enough money to start paying on a mortgage to sort of enter into, dare I say it, the middle class. When that happens to you, you say, where are we going to buy a place? Well, gee, we can't exactly afford a McMansion, but we can, in this metropolitan area, you can buy a townhouse in Frederick County, out in Frederick, or out in West Virginia. People drive an hour and a half or 2 hours to get to work around here. And that's true all over the country. Well, how come people don't live in Southeast DC? You heard a reference earlier to Southeast DC. Kevin was telling us about Southeast DC. Listen, who the hell wants to live in the crossfire? Who wants to live in the free fire zone? You have to be fucking crazy. That's the law. Those are the economic kinds of consequences. So, as a consequence then, housing stock gets unbuilt. What does happen then is where we have arable land that can be used to feed us close to home so that our costs of bringing food to us are low. We pave that over, put in a couple of trees, and sprout some townhouses. Get more runoff, get more gas. So here's the third way in which our drug policy is completely undermining the nation's economy. So these are all issues, discrete issues, which we have to bring to our environmental allies so that their agenda, is save the Chesapeake Bay, fight global warming, protect the panda bears, and Enviro. Thank you.
Really awesome. You said a lot of things I was thinking, only I think your neurons are firing a little quicker today than mine, so I'm glad that you said all that. One other thing that is just sort of, I guess I wanted to mention, Kathy Kane Willis was talking to me earlier about this panel, and she said, oh, I know something. And the Partnership for Drug-Free America tells people that they should, any prescription medication that they have, that they should flush it down the toilet. And if they're done with their prescription or whatever, everything, that's their disposal method, is to put it down the toilet. And I was kind of shocked because before taking this job at SSDP, I worked in the extension at the university in water quality, and I've been to a couple of different water quality conferences in which they were talking about medications being in water and how that's an issue that we need to deal with. And I guarantee none of those people realize that there is just the basic sheet of things that you need to do. Partnership for Drug-Free America tells people to flush your drugs down the toilet. And so there's just this information gap that is occurring right there. And I'm glad that Kathy told me that, because I'm going to go back and I'm going to say something to people that I know who work in water quality and be like, hey, we could change this so that our water's not being quite as messed up. So just issues like that, bridging the divide between people who don't know where we're coming from on drug policy issues. They really need to understand what it is that we do, and so just thinking from their lenses. Yes.
Thank you, Amber, and I know that it was your background in environment, and sort of sociology.
Yes.
I think was your master's field for many years that inspired this panel on environmental activism in the war on drugs. I have a trivia question. Which environmental organization is behind the website resistglobalwarming.org? Which environmental organization is behind the website resistglobalwarming.org?
Criminal Justice Cause Foundation.
Give that man a blunt. Here's the thing, that's right. The Criminal Justice Cause Foundation is not an environmental organization. But what we're trying to do, and what I want you all to do, is to think as creatively as you can about all the ways that this issue can recruit allies. So that more people. So think about organizing a forum right on this subject. Think about having, inviting a professor of environmental studies to moderate a panel on this subject, sponsored by your SSDP chapter, in conjunction with the Green Alliance or whatever it is, so that everybody begins to understand. Nobody knows more about what's going on in the world than those guys and gals at SSDP. They seem to have their finger on top of everything. That's going to lead to tremendous political payoff for you, tremendous sophistication. It is about finding the allies to carry your message. Does anybody have any questions?
Actually, I think we're out of time, so if you have questions, you should find us at the conference and ask away, and continue this conversation among your chapter members and all those outside of your chapters as well.
Thank you all. I know it's the end of the day. I was looking at my clock. I can't believe what time it is. It seemed like last night was only a few hours ago. In some sense, it probably was. But and tonight's only a few hours away. So hang in there and keep having fun.
And quick announcement. The closing plenary is still going on. We did hear from Representative Davis earlier, but it's going to be a lot shorter. But that's occurring upstairs in the Colony Barn. So make your way there after this. Thanks, everybody.